In the dim hours before dawn, when the eastern skies above occupied Russian-held territory, still bore the hush of pre-dawn, an armada of drones and long-range artillery from the Ukrainian forces rose like silent vultures sweeping into the heart of a vast military installation hidden deep inside Russian logistical zones. That facility intelligence told Kyiv's commanders was harboring a vast shipment of weapons supplied by North Korea and destined to reinforce Russia's war machine, ballistic missiles and rocket systems sitting in crates, warheads resting on launchers, personnel moving shells with mechanical urgency. Ukrainian reconnaissance had tracked the convoy for weeks. Large containers moved across frozen rail lines through Russia's western regions, armed trucks rolled through remote transit points, and satellite imagery confirmed large magazines being constructed in secrecy. According to Ukrainian intelligence, the missiles in that depot were valued at upwards of $780 million, representing not only a shipment of deadly hardware, but a symbolic lifeline from Pyongyang to Moscow to sustain the grinding war in Ukraine. As the strike unfolded, air alarms blared in the nearby garrison. The pre-dawn gloom ruptured by fireballs that lit up the horizon, missile containers bursting in incandescent flares, shockwaves ripping through the earth. Ukrainian crews, guided by precision targeting and backed by Western surveillance, had timed their attack to hit when the traction units were refueling. The security perimeter was at its lowest, and Russian air defense nets momentarily slack. Within moments, one missile storage bunker erupted in a towering pillar of flame, then another, sending streaming arcs of orange light climbing into a dark sky. The night sky above the depot seemed to erupt in fire, each blast ripping windows miles away and waking terrified villages. Smoke rolled across frozen fields. Fire-retardant foam hissed over scorched concrete, and inside the destroyed shed, the charred remains of launchers and missile stacks lay twisted and blackened. On the Ukrainian side, the strike was hailed as a major success. Not only was a formidable shipment denied to the enemy, but an audacious demonstration that Ukraine could project power beyond its own lines and attack the weapons traffic feeding its adversary. In Kyiv, a spokesperson declared the destruction of the so-called North Korean missiles destined for Russia to be a blow not just to materiel, but to the shadow supply chain linking Moscow and Pyongyang. Russian officials, predictably, issued terse responses. Nothing of significance was lost, they claimed, accusing Ukraine of exaggeration and propaganda. Meanwhile, international analysts pointed to the broader context. For months, North Korea had been supplying Russia with tens of thousands of artillery shells, multiple rocket launchers and ballistic missiles, and Ukraine had recorded debris of North Korean origin from strikes inside its territory. The supply chain had grown more daring. Civilians in Ukraine had been killed by missiles identified as North Korean-made. The attack thus carried both tactical and symbolic weight. Tactical because the hardware was destroyed, symbolic because it struck at the heart of the clandestine alliance between Moscow and Pyongyang. In the hours after the strike, Ukrainian military intelligence released footage of burning missile crates, slagged shell cases, and charred launch rails, underscoring the precision of the operation. Analysts emphasized that the value of the destroyed hardware, estimated at $780 million, could well be conservative given the shadow nature of arms transfers and the difficulty of assessing exact inventories. The fireballs lit up the Russian winter dawn, and for a moment seemed to suspend the war in a blaze, reminding both sides that even in a grueling, long-drawn war of attrition, the balance of supply and counter-supply still matters. For Ukraine, the message was clear. Even the deep reserves of the enemy are vulnerable. For Russia and its North Korean backers, the message was equally stark. Hidden lifelines can become glaring targets. As the smoke cleared, Ukrainian commanders prepared for what came next. Tracking the next shipments, targeting the next depot, readying the long-reach strikes that have become a hallmark of the new phase of the war. The sky, once silent and subdued, had erupted in fire to herald a shift. The war is not only fought on the front line, but in the supply lines, and today Ukraine claimed a victory in that hidden war.